Hello, YouTubers, and welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. I have here 8 articles in this episode for you. All the URLs are in the description of the video for your convenience. First one here is off of Conservative Tribune. It says, Trump administration boycotts and walks out of UN Human Rights Council meeting. The United Nations Human Rights Council isn't exactly well named. Given the prevalence of violence, repressive and try this again. Given the prevalence of violent, repressive autocracy on Human Rights Council, calling norovirus an excellent weight loss strategy, a taxpayer-funded resort vacation, or Celine Dion album good. Well, according to the Associated Press, Donald Trump and his administration aren't going to play along. According to an unnamed senior administrations official, the American delegation walked out of the Monday meeting of the Human Rights Council as a protest against the council's anti-Israel slant. According to Breitbart, the boycott had to do with a recurring agenda item at the council, which focuses on Israel and Palestinian territories. One of its kind to focus on a single country HRC session. Today's action in the council are yet another reminder of the body's long-standing bias against Israel, said State Department spokesman Mark Toner in a statement. Has an entire agenda item dedicated to it at the council. The continued existence of this agenda item is among the largest threat to the credibility of the council. Beacon reported that the increased pressure on the UN is part of a larger effort by U.S. Ambassador Nikki Haley to significantly reform the international organization and root out those platforms to push anti-narratives. Argument that the U.S. has to participate in bodies like the United Nations Human Rights Council or risk losing our influence over it is ridiculous, one official said, likening the council to the United Nations Commission on Human Rights, which was disbanded in 2006. HRC is, like its predecessor, morally bankrupt, and only good news is that its actions have little practical effect in the real world. We've wasted enough time and money on it. That isn't the only problem with the Human Rights Council. Here are some of the autocracies and nations with human rights issues currently elected to the HRC. Saudi Arabia, Cuba, China, Venezuela, Republic of the Congo, and Qatar. Group that should be passing judgment on Israel. Rogues Gallery wants to take part in anti-Semitic nonsense. They can do that without the United States. And if the Trump administration has its way, they can do it without our money too. Trump administration, the United States went against the anti-Israel bias. It's a different America than it was under Barack Obama, and the United Nations is about to find that out. The next article is off BizPac Review. It says, Trump tells House Republicans to pass bill or Obamacare stays. I don't have an update on this. I wish it did, but I haven't had time to dig anything up on it today. That they did not pass the Ryan Care bill. But here's what this article says. It says, top administration officials came to Capitol Hill Thursday evening to warn House Republicans they can either pass the American Health Care Act or let Obamacare stay in place. Trump is taking a gamble as leadership still get the bill through the lower chamber, with both members of the House Freedom Caucus and the moderate Tuesday group coming out against the measure. Counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway, chief strategist Steve Bannon, chief of staff Reince Priebus of management, and budget director Mick Mulvaney attended the GOP conference meeting and relayed the message specifically that Donald Trump is done with negotiations. Let's vote, Bannon told reporters as he left the meeting. New York Representative Chris Collins said House Speaker Paul Ryan and House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy told lawmakers a procedural vote would be held at 10 a.m., followed by a vote Friday afternoon. He expects it to pass, but he's moving on it if for some reason it doesn't. Collins told reporters. HFC Chairman Mark Meadows has repeatedly said to yes, but he can't bring himself to vote for a measure he doesn't believe will bring down premiums in a meaningful way. They have the numbers to vote it brought to the floor, but Trump appears to be done with attempting to strike a deal with powerful conservative group, which appeared optimistic the previous evening's leadership would agree to their terms. The administration and whip team have been pulling out all the stops over the course of the past 2 weeks to sway members who remain on the fence, holding numerous meetings in an attempt to placate lawmakers across the conference. Following the HFC's meeting with the White House, the potential changes to the bill, shifting its language in a more conservative direction, led to losing the support of a number of moderates. For several years, we have been promising the American people that we will repeal and replace this broken law, Ryan told reporters. Tomorrow, we're proceeding. Leadership had initially anticipated bringing the bill to the floor Thursday evening. I think they should repeal and not replace what they're doing. Right now, I think they're so out of touch they have absolutely no clue. I don't see the need for it. A minority in that, but wow, that thing needs to go. Next one is off of BizPac Review. It says Trump drives the left absolutely insane. I'm sorry. Well, he does. With one simply satisfying retweet. Let me get a drink here. Wet the whistle. That again. Trump drives the left absolutely insane with one simply satisfying retweet. President Donald Trump sent liberals into a meltdown without ever saying a word. Trump retweeted conservative radio host Bill Mitchell on Wednesday, reacting to a revelation by the House Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes that may have indicated the president on his wiretapping claims. Trump always ends up being right. It's almost a little freaky, Mitchell wrote in a tweet. Then the president also shared Mitchell's tweet that linked to a Gateway Pundit article headlined, "Boom, House Intel Chair, we cannot rule out senior Obama officials were involved in the Trump surveillance." Nunes told reporters Wednesday that he was alarmed by the incidental collection of communication while reviewing intelligence reports. He confirmed that he could not rule out the surveillance of Trump by senior administration officials under former President Obama. Mitchell, a vocal Trump supporter who is one of Trump's biggest Twitter fans with over 200,000 followers. He was pleased with the president's retweet and was more than happy to gloat over the meltdown on the left. Got all these tweets in here if you want to pull them up and read them. It says the liberal tantrums were real as seen on media reports and tweets. More tweets. And it says, but there were plenty who spoke up on Twitter defending the president and giving Mitchell a thumbs up. And there's a bunch of those tweets. The next one I have here. I mean, I have to laugh about this because, I mean, can you imagine 40 years ago, those of us that are older, you younger ones, you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but 40 years ago, we didn't even have internet, let alone tweeting. Can you imagine Eisenhower or Kennedy or even, Ford or Lyndon Johnson sending out tweets? This is a whole new era. Article is off of the sun.co.uk, and it says Kim Jong-boom, crazed North Korean despot Kim Jong-un's troops blow up U.S. aircraft carrier and shoot down bomber in propaganda video. North Korean tyrant Kim Jong-un has released a propaganda video showing a U.S. aircraft carrier being blown up and a bomber flames. Snaps from the secretive state's recent ballistic missile launches along the haunting message, or alongside the haunting message, a knife will be stabbed into the throat of the carrier. Propaganda film here shows aircraft carrier, the USS Carl Vinson, being targeted. Kim Jong-un threatens the U.S. with nuclear destruction. Kim Jong-un has warned he will reduce the U.S. to ashes with nuclear strikes. It comes after the leader threatened to reduce the U.S. to ashes as tensions with North Korea increase. The shocking video goes on to declare that the bomber will fall from the sky after getting hit by a hail of fire. Footage also shows nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, the USS Carl Vinson, going up in flames. Earlier this month warned U.S. President Donald Trump of nuclear destruction if America fires even a single bullet toward. It said the Korean People's Army will reduce the bases of aggression and provocation to ashes with its invincible Hwasong rockets tipped with nuclear warheads and reliably security of the country and its people's happiness in the South Korean puppet forces fire even a single bullet at the territory of the DPRK. Says this shocking video goes on to declare the bomber will fall from the sky after getting hit by a hail of fire. In a video here, it says the menacing talk came as South Korea warned its northern neighbors' latest rocket engine tests showed meaningful progress. The North KCNA news agency said on Sunday the engine would help the country achieve world-class satellite launch capability, a new type of rocket engine for an intercontinental ballistic missile. Footage showing a missile launching, video featuring images from the recent North Korean rocket tests, claims latest rocket test shows meaningful progress. Lee Jin-woo, deputy spokesman for the South Korean Defense Ministry, said it is found that engine function has made meaningful progress, but further analysis is needed for exact thrust and possible uses. North Korea has declared it is not scared of recent U.S. threats of possible preemptive military action to stop its nuclear buildup. Korean media reported that Kim Jong-un had hailed the test as a new birth of its rocket industry. Donald Trump told reporters he held meetings on North Korea during the weekend at his Florida resort. While he did not refer specifically to the rocket engine test, he said Kim Jong-un was acting very, very badly. See, there's some pictures here. It says Kim's Hwasong tested during another drill earlier this year. And then there's a video. North Korea's Kim Jong-un says engine test is new birth of rocket industry. Trump and members of his administration have been talking tough on North Korea since the Republican took office back in January. Last week, the President's Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, announced the policy of strategic patience was over and refused to rule out military action. The diplomatic and other efforts of the past 20 years to bring North Korea to a point of denuclearization have failed. So we have 20 years of failed approach. And that includes period in which U.S. provided $1.35 billion in dollars in assistance to North Korea and encouragement to take different pathway. He added, if they elevate the program to a level we believe requires action on the table. And then there's a picture of some Japanese children. It says Japanese school children at the Hoyuko elementary school listened to instructions of the officials during a missile evacuation drill. Meanwhile, fearing imminent attack, Japan has begun staging mass evacuation drills. The first exercise of its kind saw civilian, young and old, scrambling for cover as air raid sirens wailed. As previously reported, Japanese civil defense officials had published pamphlets outlining emergency measures in the event of nuclear war. North Korea has released a video threatening the U.S. In 2013, a similar video was made showing a nuclear attack on the White House. nuclear war preparations are also Europe, with Sweden priming its fallout shelters amid fears of war with Russia. Next article I have is off of Conservative Tribune. It says, report, Trump administration considers cutting North Korea off from global. North Korea's Kim Jong-un has no idea who he's dealing with. President Donald Trump believes the time for soft diplomacy is over and is considering tough economic sanctions against North Korea that would bring the already struggling North Korean economy to its knees. Combined with increased defense measures and growing diplomatic pressure in response to the rogue nation's recent missile threats to its neighbors in the region and the U.S., harsh economic sanctions could be rapidly persuasive. H.R. McMaster, Trump's national security advisor, is creating a set of policy recommendations for the president that is expected to be complete within the next few weeks, according to Newsweek. North Korea, China, and the United States have a delicate economic triad. What little information can be obtained shows that Kim Jong-un inherited a bleak, unsustainable economy that will only get worse. China is the country's only substantial trading partner, and with the recent slowdown of financial aid, lending, and technological assistance from Russia, North Korea's friends are few. The Chinese economy is highly dependent on U.S. trade. Trump has the power to hurt North Korea, not only with direct pressure, but also with pressure on China by putting the squeeze on small Chinese banks, which trade illegally with North Korea, according to Reuters. Since North Korea already has limited access to international financial system, pressure would have come from several nations in order to squeeze to be effective, with the U.S. convincing all of its allies in the region of their self-interest in banding together. Proven time and time again that the welfare of the oppressed North Korean people is of no concern to him. While he plots world domination, his people starve. As bad as life is for North Korean people, American sanctions couldn't make things much worse, and this maniac has to be stopped. We hope that President Trump's bold tactics will bring Korea to its knees. No one wants war, and perhaps carefully crafted show of economic solidarity against Kim Jong-un's evil dictatorship will help avoid it. The next article is off of Last Great Stand, and it says, NYPD reveals repulsive child sex crime Hillary allowed to go on. And there is video in this. Appropriately named Anthony Weiner, whose wiener has already gotten him into quite a bit of trouble over the years, just can't seem to learn from his mistakes. And his latest escapade, the now disgraced 43-year-old former congressman, had been sending highly explicit texts to a 15-year-old girl detailing his sick rape fantasies to her. As a result, his laptop and other devices were seized by the NYPD and may be facing child pornography charges. But information on the laptop revealed something much bigger. In the following video, right-wing news looks deeper than just Anthony Weiner's perverted activities. Information on the laptop shows that Hillary Clinton was well aware of Weiner's continued exploitation of the election, but chose to keep silent. Why? Because the champion of women was more concerned about getting elected than helping stop abuse of a 15-year-old girl who was known to be having suicidal thoughts. So much for the championing of rights of women, right? Sources in the NYPD say that there was discussion of charging Clinton with obstruction of justice for not reporting Weiner's activities, something that was squashed at the federal level. Police chief from divulging what he thinks of Hillary Clinton. Sadly, what Anthony Weiner did is nothing compared to what is going on in the DC pedophile ring. So when the time comes to charge those involved, including Hillary Clinton, will the federal government put up similar roadblocks? It reports New York Police Department detectives and sources working for an underage child pornography case against Anthony Weiner confirmed the laptop seized from the former congressman contained proof that Hillary Clinton knew he was engaging in a long sexual relationship with a minor, but did not intervene state or federal authorities to protect the 15-year-old. Not blowing the whistle on the serial sexter allowed Weiner to keep sexting the youth via cell phone and internet chats for approximately another 4 more months. NYPD sources said, while Clinton was busy campaigning to be the first female U.S. president with Weiner's wife and aide, Huma Abedin, he was at home sending the 15-year-old online porn and divulging his rape fantasies to the girl, NYPD sources said. Weiner also apparently talked on the telephone with the girl. It's gleaned from the laptop. Instead of recusing the minor from a sex-obsessed Weiner, Clinton, who was Democratic presidential candidate at the time and eventual frontrunner, counseled her longtime aide Abedin to end her relationship with him because bad publicity could harm the campaign. NYPD officials said Clinton and Abedin discovered Weiner's sexting with the minor in April of 2016 and that he had already been corresponding with the youth for months. Neither Clinton nor Abedin apparently did anything to stop the abuse of the minor. Instead, the repeated incidents which breach a host of state and federal laws were kept quiet. She champions herself as a woman's rights advocate, did nothing to help the girl. And it gets even worse. NYPD said the high school sophomore was suffering from depression and told Weiner during over 7 months of correspondence that she'd often wanted to end her life. Weiner did nothing to try to stop the girl from hurting herself, NYPD sources said. It is not clear whether Abedin or Clinton knew the girl was having suicidal thoughts, but NYPD sources said the FBI did know because the proof is warehoused on Weiner's silver Dell Inspiron 15 7000 laptop, which the FBI obtained by a search warrant in October. That means NYPD, the FBI knew Clinton did nothing to try to stop Weiner from repeatedly sexting a minor during the election. And FBI likewise has apparently done nothing since the election to charge or even question Clinton for what appears to be intentionally endangering a minor entangled in a child pornography case. FBI Director James Comey said his agents combed Weiner's laptop prior to the election and found no evidence indicating Hillary Clinton had engaged in any criminal conduct. Somehow Comey and his understudies were able to comb through over approximately 600,000 emails and files on the computer in a mere week, yet found nothing linking Clinton to the Weiner child pornography case. That information does not jibe with NYPD investigators. According to their intelligence, there was discussion of charging Clinton with New York statutes for not alerting law enforcement that a minor was being repeatedly exploited. But such talk was ultimately quashed by federal prosecutors who said this was now an FBI and Justice Department case, and no charges like that would originate from New York or from local law enforcement where the girl lived. One bullshit roadblock after another, an NYPD source said. It was clear that Clinton was to get a free pass, although NYPD said investigators held out some hope she would be charged after the election, especially when she lost. Now, 5 months later, Clinton is talking about running for New York City mayor instead of defending herself against criminal charges. The feds sat on it, the NYPD source said. Effing disgraceful. Some of the facts that Abedin, Clinton, and FBI apparently intentionally squelched include Weiner coaxed video chats in which he asked the girl to undress and touch herself and repeat his name out loud. The girl told Weiner that she was a sophomore in high school and trying to get a learner's permit to and learn how to drive. Weiner knew the girl was suffering from depression and occasional suicidal thoughts, yet urged the youth to dress up in schoolgirl outfits and pressed her to engage in rape fantasies. Weiner repeatedly told the high school student that he wanted to force himself on her when her father was out of town and away from the house. Weiner forced the girl to write him a letter saying that their online relationship was friendly, and at no time did he engage in sexual conversation or innuendo. The youth complied. That letter is on the laptop and in the FBI's possession, NYPD said. Weiner may have provided a copy to Clinton to cover her in case these allegations exploded during her campaign. Weiner used his cell phone to correspond with the girl and texting apps. Confide and what is that? KIK, I think it is, as well as desktop Facebook and Skype from girl's bedroom while her parents were often asleep in the next room. Likewise alarming, and largely due to Abdin and Clinton's silence, Weiner continued to sext the teenager for approximately 4 months after Clinton learned of the illegal relationship. The girl might have been 14 years old when the sexual relationship commenced in January of 2016, per records obtained by NYPD. Weiner, who employed the alias of T-Dog to correspond with the youth on one texting app, texted the minor after meeting her on Twitter January 2016. The hundreds of correspondence included engaging explicit pictures, pornography, and sexual text and video chats, as well as possible newly disclosed telephone calls. Two of the more tame exchanges are shown here in this URL if you want to pull it up and take a look at it. I'm not going to read it. Lord have mercy, it's disgusting enough. It says, as first reported 6 months ago by True Pundit, Weiner and other Hillary Clinton associates could be facing possible federal charges of child exploitation, sex crimes with minors, and possible other felony charges, including child pornography. These details were originally documented in an exclusive November 2nd, 2016 story published by True Pundit, which in part specifies the NYPD seized the computer from Weiner during a search warrant, and detectives discovered a trove of over 500,000 emails to and from Hillary Clinton, whom have been, and other insiders during their tenure as Secretary of State. The content of those emails sparked the FBI to reopen its defunct email investigation into Clinton on Friday. But new revelations on the contents of that laptop, according to law enforcement sources, implicate the Democratic presidential candidate, her subordinates, and even select elected officials in far more alleged serious crimes than mishandling classified and top secret emails, sources said. NYPD sources said these new emails include evidence linking Clinton herself and associates to money laundering, child exploitation, sex crimes with minors, children, perjury, pay to play through Clinton Foundation, obstruction of justice, other felony crimes. NYPD detectives and NYPD chief, the department's highest rank under commissioner, said openly that if the FBI and Justice Department fail to garner timely indictments against Clinton and co-conspirators, NYPD will go public with the damaging emails now in the hands of FBI Director James Comey and many FBI field offices. What's in the emails is staggering, and as a father, it turned my stomach, the NYPD chief said. There is not going to be any Houdini-like escape from what we found. We have copies of everything. We will ship them to WikiLeaks, or I will personally hold my own press conference if it comes to that. NYPD chief said once Comey saw the alarming contents of the emails, he was forced to reopen a criminal probe against Clinton, he said. Meanwhile, FBI sources said Abdin and Weiner were cooperating with federal agents who have taken over the non-sexting portions of the case from the NYPD. The husband and wife Clinton insiders are both shopping for separate immunity deals, sources said. If they don't cooperate and see long sentences, a federal law enforcement source said. NYPD sources said Weiner or Abdin stored all the emails in a massive Microsoft Outlook program on the laptop. The email implicate other current and former members of Congress, and one high-ranking Democratic senator as having possibly engaged in criminal activity too, sources said. Prosecutors in the Office of Attorney Preet Bharara have issued a subpoena for Weiner's cell phones and travel records. Law enforcement sources confirmed it. NYPD said it planned to order the same phone and travel records on Clinton and Abdin. However, the FBI said it was in the process of requesting the identical records. Wow. Can't make this stuff up. Next one is off of InfoWars, and it says, Spicer says it was Hillary Clinton who gave Russian company 1/5 of the U.S. uranium supply. Press secretary calls out Democrat hypocrisy over Russian conspiracy theories. Secretary Sean Spicer chastised Trump administration critics on Monday, who continue to suggest that there is some form of collusion between President and the Russian government, despite no evidence having come to light. In particular, Spicer noted that there has been no party when it comes to Democrat involvement in the situation. From everything that has been publicly available on several occasions, the DNC was asked by the FBI to alleviate all their concerns about leaking. Still hasn't come out, Spicer noted. Why would the DNC on multiple occasions rebuff the FBI? If they were so concerned with the leaks and hacking, why did they not allow the FBI to come look? He asked. There's a serious question here, Spicer said, doubling down. They're very clear about all the concerns they have along with the leadership of the Democratic Party. And yet, when it came to the hacks and leaks out of the DNC, they're quick to jump to the conclusion about who did it, yet they wouldn't allow the FBI to investigate. The press secretary then noted that Hillary Clinton herself has a history of involvement with the Russian government. When you look at the Obama administration and the Clintons' involvement with Russia in terms of donations they received from Russian entities, was the concern from that? Spicer stated, exclaiming, "What are we doing to look into that?" It was the Obama administration in 2009 that talked about a reset with Russia and a desire to reset relationships, he added. It was Hillary Clinton who signed off on a deal that gave Russian company 1/5 of the U.S. uranium supply. Where's the concern on Hillary Clinton thing? Spicer urged. The press secretary castigated Democrats for being quick to point fingers, and yet, when it comes to discussing their own collusion or questions involving their involvement with Russia officials or buy-offs to the Russians, there is no discussion there. You got to wonder on both sides, where's the parity when it comes to these types of investigations, he concluded. The article I have in this episode is off of Liberty Writers, and it says, Rex Tillerson just revealed the real reason he became Secretary of State. This is huge. I thought this was hysterical, and I will give you my rundown on this after I read the article. It says, oh my God, Rex Tillerson really was hiding something huge. He never let anyone know the real reason he became Secretary of State until now. Tillerson told the Independent Journal Review, I didn't want this job. I didn't seek this job. Wait, really? Well, Secretary Tillerson, if you didn't want it, why'd you take it? It's all for his wife. She, his wife, told me I'm supposed to do this. She said, I told you God's not through with you. Apparently, Tillerson was ready to get out of the public life after years of service to Exxon. He was all set to retire to his ranch with his grandkids and live the rest of his life in peace. Then President Donald Trump called him on job to serve the United States of America. When he asked me at the end of that conversation to be Secretary of State, I was stunned. And I, for one, am glad he did. Rex Tillerson is a smart, successful, and hardworking individual with great relationships with the leaders across the entire world. So let's all give a thank you to Brenda St. Clair, Rex's wife, for helping make Trump's dream team into reality. Let's get this shared everywhere with the comment, thanks, Brenda. Now, here's my take on it. He was all set to retire and be under her feet for the rest of her life. And she had an opportunity to get him out of the house, and she took it. And I say, congratulations, Brenda. I feel you, girl. I know where you're coming from. That's all I have for y'all in this episode. If you like what I'm doing here, give it a thumbs up, share it on your social media so everybody gets to enjoy this entertainment. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. That way you'll stay informed.